Hello and welcome to an Outlook cover discussion. We have our editor Sinha with us. Thank you, Chinki. The cover this week is, way to sort of rewriting history. Each regime has its own way of telling history, teaching history. The Nehruvian historians were accused of being Marxist historians. They emphasized only certain parts of our history and did not highlight the other parts. Now this regime says that it's trying to right those wrongs. It's trying to sort of say, look at the Mughal era in a different way. The Hindu kings who were there at that time, they claimed that they were not highlighted that much, or they were not taught that much, and so there is an attempt to now sort of change those, insert these things in textbooks, in history books, etc. So that is what we are looking at. And in the end, whose truth is it really? I mean, whose truth is it? History? Can history change? So these are a few things that we are exploring in this issue.
Yeah, so basically we decided to go with this issue because we already done an issue on the syllabus changes, and that kind of also rattled our brains a bit about what's going on. See, if you look at us personally, like there's a whole generation of people who are now questioning their own history, kind of like we don't know what we were taught, we don't know what is going to be what is history. Basically that itself has come into question, and we have a very nice column by Arshia Sattar on exactly this, like how imagination, like how past is such a combustible zone. Like how do you can't access it. Like I can't access the past except my own personal past, which is again a sum total of various histories that have been transmitted to us. Now Rakesh Sinha's column on how the whole difference between narrative and facts, and then Shashi Tharoor obviously talks about this whole merging of facts and mythology together into some another kind of thing. And then we have Bharadwaj, who has talked about this whole EPW edition back in the days when Romila Thapars and this whole thing was contested by this young scholar, and they wrote a rejoinder, and that whole thing of like opening up the place for debate. At least we don't have any debate, we don't have any space for scholarly engagement over history, because the moment you challenge something, and we have seen that in the past, that you are basically going to go to jail, or basically conferred this whole title of anti-national will be conferred upon you.
Apart from certain dynasties, certain rulers being given more prominence and the others not, the other part that some of the columns looked at, like say Pavan Verma's and Mr. P.A. Krishnan's, is the regional bias. There is this charge that most of the history that is taught to us is very north centric. We really don't know so much about the south or the east or the west, which is another argument that we are we're sort of dealing with, and we have there are opinions on that.
No, of course. I mean, the history, what we have been taught, there's a lot of stuff that has been left out. Now, when he talks about this, Rakesh Sinha in his column talks about ancient, medieval, and modern history. Now, we know a lot about medieval history. We don't know ancient history that much. But the way they are promoting this ancient history or writing this ancient history is kind of, I don't know if that's, I mean, where is the proof, right? I mean, a Padmavat, which again is a contested kind of a thing, becomes your stamp of history. Now, how do we even verify it now? So this verification and stuff becomes a problem. So we want to see, the other point was that I wanted to raise this point, and of course we should have, I mean, I would have loved to write on this, but couldn't, is about like literature. I think literature is the most credible source of who we were as people right now, because I think history has become so such a chaotic space with everybody trying to assert. So there is a scope for correction, but the way that correction is going towards making this Hindutva history is not right, because I did not grow up like this, and I want a secular history. I don't want one. I don't know about this history at all. So, and then there is this whole thing about memory, and whatever the history might be, there's also this factor of memory coming in between. People whose histories have been transferred to them by this route of memory, right? And if that doesn't match it, then where do we go?
And this, of course, is the main package that we have. As always, we have the political overlap. as well as which looks at the Thackeray's, how they have sort of evolved over the time or not. That's a story that we have. And Substrata, again, it's got some fantastic stuff to read.
There is one by Meera
Nan-
Diwan, which looks at
yes,
poetry of
poems.
Javed
Yeah.
Akhtar.
And then Nandita's, it's a very well visually rich piece that is there.
That's a
Vikram.
very, very good one. Yeah, and coming back to this overlap also, if you look at what's happening in Maharashtra, I mean, there are also indirect, direct references to be made, about that history of Bal Thackeray and his Hindutva, right? Both the sides are
Yeah.
claiming that they are the, carriers of this Hindutva, vision of Bal Thackeray. Now, what was that? And what is that history? Because it's all in the past, right? So I think
Yeah.
this kind of past belongs to a time where we didn't have, television, or maybe like that many newspapers, or maybe even social media. Although you could make an argument that that also is controlled, which it is. I mean, there's a lot of surveillance and all kinds of things, but at least there is a variety of opinion around it, and you can kind of like figure out your own thing. But how do you figure out is also a problematic thing, because we have been taught such things that we don't actually know. Like if you ask me right now, I don't know what my history is.
This discussions have to keep happening, and we have to keep looking at them, and at every time, and there is really, actually speaking, it's a kind of a alive, evolving kind of thing always.
No, I feel that in journalism, I know, of course, I mean, facts are sacred, but we are living in a world which is again a post-truth world. We don't know what facts are, what meta-narratives are being played out. So I think as a journalist, we also need to be opening up the space for discourse, because that's kind of getting lost, and I mean, whose facts and what, I mean, we also have written in the thing that whose history is it? I don't know. And who is writing it, and who is sanctioning it, and who's kind of, I mean, are the regimes sanctioning it, whoever is in power sanctioning it, or like, there's this other side as well. And I'm sure, I mean, as journalists, we know that there are a million sides to a story. So I also feel that our job is also to kind of debate and keep debating and keep discussing, because that discussion will kind of, the whole point is to trigger in whatever small ways we can a critical thinking, where people can actually look at all points of views, and we have a diverse range of points of views.
That's exactly what this issue does, actually. It's as diverse points of views as possible, from all sides, and it's some great articles, actually. So please do pick up the copy. It should be available in the stalls now, and it's always there on our website, www.outlookindia.com. Thank you very much.
Thank you.